And yet today I hear from working people who should know better, including a few in my own family, I might add, that those immigrants are taking our jobs. They're ruining our country. Haven't we been there before? Haven't we seen that very thing before? When I hear that kind of talk, I want to say, did an immigrant move your plant overseas? Did an immigrant take away your pension? Or did an immigrant cut your health care? Did an immigrant destroy American workers' right to organize or to crash the financial system? Did immigrant workers write the trade laws that have done so much to harm us in Ohio? You see, my friends, we are, most of us, the children of immigrants. There was no labor movement in America until workers learned to look at each other and to see not immigrants and native-born, not white and black, not different last names, but our common fate as workers and Americans. See, the labor movement believes that our goal as a nation should be to foster, be a future of shared prosperity, not stubborn unemployment and a lost generation. Thus, that our economic strategy must bring us together instead of driving us apart. Our strategy must help us be the kind of country that we want our children to thrive in. The history that our country can tell us of what we can be. See, we want this country to be the home of the American dream. So what exactly is the American dream? Well, some would tell you that the American dream is the idea that in America, anyone can become rich. And the fact is that the upper reaches of our society are relatively open. It's a good thing about our country. But that's not the American dream. The American dream is not that a few of us will get to be rich, but that all of us will have a fair portion of the good things in life. Time to be with our families, the chance for our children to get an education, and the opportunity to make their own way in the world. Laws that protect us, not oppress us. The American labor movement is all about the pursuit and the defense of this idea of America. And we've learned through our history that's only when working people stand together in the workplace and at the polling place that the American dream is secure. Recently, the American dream brought a man my age named Alvino and his son Ramon to America from Mexico. They were experienced bricklayers, and they were hired to work on a large mixed-use housing development project. It was a public project. They and 30 others worked for 5 weeks, and the contractor never paid them. For too many immigrants seeking the American dream, that is the American reality. Hard work rewarded with rip-offs, and then no way to seek justice. That's why I'm so proud to be able to say that Alvino and Ramon and their co-workers are taking this injustice to the U.S. Department of Labor thanks to the efforts of Bricklayers Union Local 18 in Cincinnati and the Interfaith Workers' Rights Center, whose members understand truly that an injury to one is really an injury to all of us. You see, immigration to the United States is part of a larger picture. It's the picture of how we're getting it wrong about globalization. And there's no better way to understand that than to look at what's happening between the United States and Mexico since NAFTA was implemented in 1994. Now, I know your previous speaker told you about the wonders of trade and NAFTA. Well, NAFTA was sold to the American public on the idea that increasing trade with Mexico would create good jobs in both countries, and it would slow the flow of undocumented workers coming to the U.S. from Mexico. Instead, inequality has grown, and workers' rights have eroded both in the U.S. and Mexico since NAFTA's passage. And illegal immigration flows have tripled since its passage. Today we treat our relationship with Mexico as if it were a national security problem, solvable with military aid and a militarized border. And I have to tell you, I truly believe that's a dangerous mistake. See, the failures of our relationship with Mexico represent a failed economic strategy. And they can't be solved with guns and soldiers and fences. They must be addressed through an economic strategy for shared prosperity based on rising wages in both countries. Instead, at the heart of the failure of our immigration policy is a very, very unpleasant fact. One that you almost never hear talked about openly. The fact is that too many U.S. employers actually like the current system and the current state of the immigration system. A system where immigrants are both plentiful and undocumented, afraid and available. Too many employers like a system where our borders are closed and opened at the same time. Closed enough to turn immigrants into second-class citizens, and open enough to ensure an endless supply of socially and legally powerless cheap labor. Our immigration system makes a mockery of the American dream. The people doing the hardest work for the least money have no legal protection, no ability to send their children to college, no real right to form a union, no economic or legal security. They have no way to turn their contribution, their years of hard work, into the most fundamental right of all, and that's the right to vote. See, that's intolerable for a democracy, particularly one that seeks to lead the world. Recently, I met a young woman named Fabiola. She came to the United States when she was 2 years old. She went to grade school here. She went to high school here. She went to middle school here. Her parents have worked in the United States for 22 years. 15 years ago, her father became a U.S. citizen. So all of her younger siblings who were born here are also citizens. But Fabiola fell through the legal cracks and is now too old to become a citizen under current migration and immigration law. But that hasn't stopped her from working hard to live the American dream. See, recently she graduated from the University of California with a degree in international development. But she can't find a job in her field because she's undocumented, and all of her talent going unused. So how does Fabiola's story make any sense in economic or human terms? Our talent and our education are being squandered because our immigration system is simply not working. That's why the AFL-CIO is fighting to fix this broken immigration system as a crucial element of our broader economic strategy. Because we stand for the American dream for all who work in our country. Because we are for ending the two-tiered workforce and a two-tiered society. And because an underclass of permanently disenfranchised workers ends up hurting all workers as well. But let me be clear. We're not for just any kind of immigration reform. We'll not support the return of outdated guest worker programs that give immigrants no security, no future here in the United States, no rights, and no hope of being part of the American dream.